Hello, I'm Dave Feinlieb, and this is Beyond the Shelf. This show is an open exploration of the people and process behind e-commerce. Through conversations with innovators in the space, we learn the stories of these leaders and their strategies for e-commerce success. You can find out more about how we're helping leading brands and retailers build retail media and product detail page content faster than ever before at It'sRapid.ai. My guest on today's show is Dawn Powell, manager of e-commerce at Kids2. Kids2 is making parenting a little easier, one tiny win at a time, with an innovative line of holistic solutions for early-stage parents that transcend borders, categories, and aisles. At Kids2, Dawn manages e-commerce, including digital shelf, product content, sell sheet solutions for the Kids2 sales and marketing teams, and more. Before Kids2, Dawn was the e-commerce marketing coordinator at Kyocera Precision Tools and e-commerce operations manager at Rightline Gear. I had the privilege of meeting Dawn at the Digital Shelf Summit earlier this year, and I'm thrilled to have her as a guest on the podcast today. We discuss Kids2, Dawn's experience in e-commerce, and how Kids2 is using creative workflow automation to accelerate sell sheet creation for their sales team and save money in the process. Please enjoy my conversation with Dawn Powell. Dawn, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dave. It's good to see you.
First off, thanks for taking the time to do this. Would you start us out by telling us how you got your start in the space?
Yeah, I got my start in e-commerce a long time ago. I owned a bead business at one point, and I wanted a website. And I taught myself how to build a website and started doing e-commerce.
And your bead business, tell us about that. How did you get started in that? What's the origin story?
I have always been some type of crafter or artist, and I did a lot of embroidery at that time, and then started getting into working with beads, and a hobby led me into owning a business where I had a bead store and sold beads and traveled up and down the East Coast doing shows.
A fellow entrepreneur, and it's a great story on in-store and e-commerce. Now, if you would, tell us a little about Kids2. You've got a great line of products, many of which, I will tell you, like the Baby Einstein line, are household names in our home. Would you tell us a little about Kids2 and what drew you to the company?
This is my second time around working for a children's products company. And so when I was younger, I worked for a company where I sold children's clothes retail. And then I joined Kids2 coming up on 3 years ago. And we have a really innovative line of products. We try to innovate and develop solutions for new parents to help maybe keep babies happy, whether it's from toys or to gear. We try and, tackle a little bit of it all and grow it into a cohesive line that fits with your home and baby's lifestyle and growing and development.
It's such a great line of product. It's a fun line. It's educational, and they've just such a great place in our home. Tell us a little about e-commerce and the company, and kind of what are some of the areas that you're focused on?
My main focus is on our product information management system. So I work with our Salsify program as our Salsify admin, I guess is my other title. And so that led me into, working with data and working into solutions that automate processes for Kids2 so that we can get our content out faster to our retailers, get our content to our sales team so that they are able to get our solutions out.
This is great. And product information management has become such a big category. You're working on that. What are some of the other systems and elements of technology that you think about when it comes to the space?
We need to get our content out to our retailers. And so we've got to have, in my role, I have to have an understanding of not just managing data, but also how our retailers want to receive the data and their expectations. And so I come into the e-commerce space with a lot of experience with different diverse retailers, whether I've worked with Amazon and Walmart with past manufacturing companies. So I have an understanding of what our end goal is. And then that gives me a good basis for managing our data systems in order to get to where we need to be.
I love it. So kind of this intersection of having the right data, but also I think this customer perspective, you're uniquely positioned to bring both of those together, which is really great. When we first started talking, we were talking about sell sheets. Would you just tell us a little about what those are and what the business need is?
Sure. We use our sales sheets to, of course, get our information to our distributors and our retailers. In particular, our sales team use this when they're visiting a retailer or when they're, visiting a distributor, whether it be a big company or whether it be a smaller distributor. Those are information sheets with pictures and our key insights and the benefits to our products all along our end-to-end development. Those sheets can change and they're touched many times as information changes. So bringing those from the solution we had, which was PowerPoint and manual edits, into utilizing Salsify information was sort of a natural step for us.
And if you think about how that process worked before, was it designers? Was it an agency? Or how did you go about building those without a solution in place?
We have a sales admin sort of team that works with each of our divisions, and they were the ones hands-on managing that information. So when they got an update, they had to open up the sales sheet, they had to make the edits, they had to copy and paste them if they were similar across a line. If our onboard ship date changed, they had to change that information manually. So lots of changes that involved a lot of touching, and then ways of tracking those sheets when they were updated so that our sales team knew when new sheets were available. So a lot of manual processes that working with It'sRapid has really going to help solve things for us.
So we've got this sort of change from a manual process to an automated process. What other solutions were you looking at, and how did you come across working with us?
We had looked at other integrations with other providers as far as sales sheet information. Some of that was limited. We had looked at exporting the information into an Excel sheet and using a connection to PowerPoint, which was clunky, to bring the information in there. So there was a couple different angles we went at things, but not everything fit all the buckets and allowed us to change on the fly.
Yeah, this is super helpful. And this idea of using PowerPoint, so we have customers that have PDFs, we have customers that are in PowerPoint. Will you talk a little about the reasons that the sales and marketing teams sort of use the PowerPoint versions?
We can be addressing different markets. So our sales team may be working on something specific for that market, or they may be working something specific for that retailer, and to allow them the ability to go in and open up the PowerPoint and make a few tweaks where they needed to makes things much easier. The PowerPoint's available in Salsify. They can download it. They can convert it into a PDF from that point if they want to.
Often when we work in this space, we focus heavily on the data that's going into the sell sheets. I think one thing you've pointed out to me, which was such a great insight, is that there's this human element on how these sell sheets are used and also the design of the sheets. Will you talk a little about the people that go with the data?
Sure. We want our sales team to be selling, not editing. And so we have sales coordinators that help with managing the sales sheet process and creating them and sending them back to Salsify so they can manage that. But we don't want a sales team member to have to go through a lot of edits. So when there's a overall scale edit, having a special property in Salsify that we can bulk import and export and manage that. I want my sales team out there making us money, not having to be not having to be
a data analyst or yeah. And this, I think, is the interesting intersection for me on sell sheets is you've got a design element, you've got the salespeople, and then you've got the data. And hopefully we can put all those together for you into this nice solution, which is great. Will you also talk about the buy-in process? Anytime you're bringing in new tech, new capabilities, you've got to socialize it, get people educated about it. What was that process like?
It was different across different departments. So our sales team was like, yay, you're going to make this easy for us and we'll be able to get that information right away. Some of our internal teams that have to manage that data, it took some walking through to say, you're already providing this information. It's just more manual. We're just going to put it in a system for you. And so once we were able to prove the point of you can put it on an Excel sheet, you don't have to copy and paste. You put it on an Excel sheet, you import it into Salsify, the information is there. You can go right into Salsify for that product and edit it. We're trying to make life easier. So it's just a difference of getting people to realize the improvement in their process.
A lot of potential customers I talk to have this worry that their data isn't perfect. And I was curious, in my mind, the data is almost never perfect. It's kind of evolving. But I'd love just to hear about, how do you think about the data itself and then keeping it updated, and what's the workflow so you know what you have is going to present well when the team is out selling?
Again, I agree with you. Data is never perfect. It is always evolving and changing, whether that be written content or whether that be images. We're always looking to improve things. The nice thing that we're able to do with Salsify is we have a controlled set of properties that are used for the sell sheet. So we are able to create a trigger so that when that content changes, our sales coordinator knows, hey, we need to create a new sales sheet. They go into It'sRapid, at the click of a button, pull the information over, and then send the sales sheet back to Salsify. All of our sales team can receive a notice when that sales sheet gets updated, when they create their own notification.
Another thing I learned, I think, from working with you is the way to present the investment in the data. One thing you educated me on is that a little bit of data has a really high return when it comes to all the things you can do with the data. Sell sheets, of course, being, one of those potential outputs. Would you just tell us a little about socializing that idea with the team?
We have in Salsify over 250 users. So they're familiar with getting the data from Salsify. They're familiar with it being a source. And getting that socialized to say, we've already got the information there, let us put it into something else that, makes life easier, that creates a workflow for things. It wasn't as big of a step to get the buy-in there. Once they realized we only had to add a little bit more data to Salsify in order to generate the things that we were already able to computerize where information, compute where data was coming from in other properties and say, use this information here. So it just proving the value case. That was the number of hours we are going to save and getting this information out, the ease of changing a template when we want to make a design change on our sell sheets.
This is great. You also told me about kind of the business ROI, and I realize you probably can't share specific numbers with us and our listeners, but can you give us kind of a sense of direction, maybe an order of magnitude of how you thought about efficiencies and cost savings and ROI?
Sure. We took a look at the how many hours it took us on average a year to complete how many times a sales sheet was updated, how many times, in a year time period, how long did it normally take to find the sales sheet, open the sales sheet, make the edits every single time. We looked at a savings between that and the total upgrade that we did to our sales sheet format last year of 40 to 50,000 hours saved over the process from year to year. You can apply your own math as to how much that would save.
That is great. Very significant. And we're excited to be part of the success, the efficiency, and all the great work you're doing. I have one other question about sell sheets, and then I want to ask you about ecom more broadly and what's going on there. As you think about the different brands in the portfolio, one of the things we've done together is set up kind of different logos and look and feel and designs. How does that work? And, how does the organization work when it comes to the different look and feel aspects of the brands in the company?
So we have a different look and feel for each brand as far as our logo and the colors we used, and the some things are sort of consistent, like your type fonts, but the colors you're using for headings and that type of information is different. So It'sRapid provided different templates to fit each of our brands and sub-brands, and recognizes, based upon what that brand and sub-brand is in Salsify when we send the data, what template is needed. So we don't have to go and pick a template. It automatically says, hey, this is Baby Einstein. I use this template.
This is great. And it's a great use case for the platform and leveraging the kind of categorization that you already have in Salsify. So as you think about automation more broadly and everything you're trying to do here over the next couple of years, what are some of the other applications you're thinking about?
Oh, you're going to challenge me. Right now, we are in the middle of an upgrade to Salsify Advance. And so that is a big project for us, so that we have all the new bells and whistles. That also involved working with your team to make sure that we were going to align with the changes that we were going to make to our systems and how things would write back and forth now. So as we've evolved, It'sRapid has addressed our challenges facing the data and the way we're changing the information. I would love to see us move a little more into using AI. That's not my call, because I'm not in the creative content end of things. I can just promote what I see that's cool out there.
More to come, and no conversation today, I feel like, is complete without thinking about AI. So it's a great roadmap item to be thinking about. Well, Dawn, we've covered a lot of great areas, from the backstory, running your own business, to the sell sheets, the data, the people. I'd love to ask you a couple of fun wrap-up questions. The first of which is, and I know it's hard to pick only two, but which two people have inspired you the most in your professional life?
One of them is one of my first bosses. Her name was Toby, and that was when I worked in retail. And she taught me a lot about thinking on your feet. We would walk our retail store from front to back and take notes as we went through the store of things that needed to be addressed for the day. And I had to move to keep up with her and to make the notes, and to be able to take the notes and then put them into an action plan of what needed to happen taught me how to think on my feet and take that data, that information, and put it into an action plan for the day. So she was very instrumental in teaching me my life skills along that time period. And then second, I would say, is someone when I began my e-commerce career, in that she was a bead artist and she was an entrepreneur, and she was doing the same thing. She was building her business and her website and her reach to her customers, and she provided me some guidance early on in retail and, translating that. I feel like e-commerce is nothing more than your actual sales, that you've got to get the information to the customer, but in writing. And she taught me a lot during that time period. Her name was Carol. And to be able to change that viewpoint of like one-to-one person selling to reaching an audience in e-commerce. And that stood me in good stead throughout my entire career, because you're basically doing the same thing. You're just putting it into, a written form.
Exactly. So thinking on your feet, how to walk the store, I guess how to walk the digital store now as well, and then really being in touch with the customer and delivering the information they need. It's such a great set of insights and inspiration. Now, when you get some time, if you get some time outside of work and family, what are your favorite hobbies? What do you like to do?
I actually work a lot in animal rescue. So I have, at this point, 5 foster fail animals. So I volunteer with our local animal rescue, and I will foster animals periodically, the last one being a Chihuahua that stayed.
What a great story and a wonderful thing to be doing. So thank you for that. Now, if our listeners want to find you online, what's the easiest or the best way for them to get in touch?
Probably via LinkedIn would be the best way to get in touch.
Well, Dawn, I've really enjoyed chatting with you today. We covered lots of great topics and the great work that we're doing together. We're really appreciative of the opportunity to partner with you on the sell sheets and hopefully on more automation opportunities in the future. So thanks again. I hope you'll come back soon.
I would love to.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. Beyond the Shelf is brought to you by It'sRapid. It'sRapid is the platform Pepsi, Sierra Nevada, Revlon, and hundreds of other leading brands and retailers use to build personalized content at scale. Whether that's images, videos, or product descriptions for their product detail pages, shoppable videos or banners for their digital ad campaigns, or sell sheets for sales enablement, brands that use It'sRapid are able to produce high-quality, on-brand content on average more than 80% faster than category competitors. To find out more, please visit It'sRapid.ai. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Shelf.